Everything just hits different. Everything just hits different when you're 10-0, man. I almost shed a tear listening to the Fightin' Texas Aggie band coming onto this show because we usually do that, right? But Noble Men of Kyle Field, it hits a little bit different when you're sitting here at 10-0. Howdy, my 10-0 Aggies. How does it feel? We're 2 sleeps away from watching this team do it again. And I know, it's not a big game week. This isn't something we're really looking forward to or anticipating, but this team is so special. This year has been special. We have to love and appreciate every chance we get to see this team. And they'll do it in the classic jerseys. They showed, it's like Military Appreciation Weekend, I think, at Kyle Field. Marcus Radcliffe gets the showcase. He deserves it. Breakout player. And you get the classic look. Maroon helmet, maroon jersey, white pants. Really good stuff, guys. Thank you so much for being here. It's the pregame show. I have to admit, we're not going to do too much pregame. We're not going to do too much previewing today. We'll talk about a couple of things we want to see in the game. And really, it's 2 things. It's take care of business and stay healthy. That's it. I could end the preview there. But I'll let you guys chime in however you want to. The call-in room is open. The link is pinned in the chat. Click that. Super self-explanatory. Just turn on your mic. We want you to call in the score predictions. You have a chance, if you get it right, to win a Marcel Reed card from the Notre Dame game, that moment where he won the game. We still have them available. People haven't won them. We had a winner a couple weeks ago, but since then, nothing. You'll be immortalized on that in the background of the show. Just call in a correct score prediction to enter the competition. Other than that, comment your score predictions for the weekend. You know, Sanford's one of the worst FCS teams. A&M is one of the best FBS teams. This thing should be a blowout. And even if A&M is playing young players and walk-ons on senior day, I would expect A&M to have kind of a steady pulse throughout this game. But I want to hear your bold score predictions because they should be bold today. So let's hear them. Put them in the chat. See a lot of familiar faces out there. I also have a question of the day today. And we're going to kind of reflect on the team today because it feels like, you ever watch like a series like The Office, and it's like a couple episodes before Michael Scott leaves, and they do kind of like the montage episode. It's kind of like a filler episode. It's not like a real, episode with a new plot or anything. They kind of just rehash and talk about some things that have happened throughout the series, show some highlights. We're going to kind of do that today because we got Texas next week, and then we have a postseason that we're absolutely a part of. And I want to reflect on some players on this team that have emerged, that have broken out, that have exceeded our expectations. There's a lot of them. And I want you guys to chime in here. I'm going to list some here, and I'm sure we're going to have some overlapping answers. I want to see who y'all are looking at when you think of guys who have exceeded your expectations this year. Guys who have really added to this team that maybe you didn't see coming or just did better than you thought they would. I want to hear from you guys. That question was in the chat. I see a few people in there already talking about it. I see an EJ Smith in there. That's a good one. Le'Veon goes down, and last year we kind of, felt that a lot, right? Le'Veon goes down last year, and this offense completely changed. But this year, you obviously have dynamic weapons everywhere. But in this running back room, obviously Ruben Owens is here, and he's had a really, really good season. But guys like EJ Smith, Jamarian Morrow have really, really stepped up. EJ Smith is one that I'm sure a lot of people are going to be talking about. Good to see you, LD Fizzle. Burnt Branch Creek Bees, breakout player, ABR. I see another ABR in here. Noah Tuwabi says ABR, and that is a recent one. And they're still breaking out, and you still have more games to come. I mean, Isaiah Williams, welcome to the party, man. Awesome showing by Isaiah. With Mario Craver down, Isaiah Williams steps up. He stays ready. A testament to the culture of this team, a testament to the people they have brought to this team, their buy-in to this program. And he has himself a fine game, an important game. He got the party started in the second half. Kelly Clark, ABR, EJ, Howell. Yeah, you got to list Howell. We had expectations, but safe to say they've been blown away. EJ Smith hoping Bussy could still pop, says Dead Messenger. Yeah, you still have games left, and people, like I said, people are still breaking out. You got a lot of opportunities still to come. Sanford from Lit Sparks. That's a really good one. Next man up mentality right there. EJ or Borkashire, absolutely, from Cody Scher. Good to see you. Dead Messenger, fire. Yeah, y'all like those montages. The A&M media team is unstoppable. Good to see you, T-Dub. What up, Noble? We are back like we've never been before. Welcome back, Noble Guy. Good to see you. Finally have time to call in. Good to hear from you tonight, Noble. I'm excited to talk to you. 10 for Heisman. That's a good breakout one, too. We had some expectations from Marcel Reed. I said he'd be a top 6 player in the SEC, top 6 quarterback in the SEC. He's top 3, and he ain't 2 or 3. I mean, come on now. Marcel Reed is one of those guys, too, and that's the guy we expected to have some good stuff from. That's one of them right there. That's our Heisman right there. Still numb from this past weekend. Are y'all recovered from the weekend? Oh my goodness, guys. I could rehash that with you guys. I did that on a show last night. I mean, what an emotional roller coaster this weekend, guys. Did y'all like get home or turn the TV off and just like kind of sit there like, what just happened? The range of emotions to see the bottom worst our team has ever looked, to see the team play as well as they have all year, all in one game. Insane roller coaster, yin and yang kind of a game. I mean, just cinema. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. And being in the stadium, man, was just a surreal experience. To feel the stadium so dead and so quiet, yet be so full at halftime, it was so strange. And then just to feel it kind of creep up. The crowd waking up with every first down. And it gets a little bit louder after the first score. And then it really pops after that 4th and 1. But it wasn't done growing yet. You score again, that ABR touchdown. Lid's off the thing in Kyle Field. The lid is completely off. It's going crazy. And you just went from depressed to absolute mayhem within a span of like 15, 20 real minutes. Like not even game minutes. This comeback happened so quickly. Yeah, I hope y'all are recovering from this, guys. That's insane. What a time to be an Aggie indeed, Lit Sparks. Love the classic home jerseys, says Jeb. Hope they have the American flag on the back of their helmets. That'd be awesome. No Bond doinks. Oh, man, we just got to avoid the kicker. Just go for it at this point. I mean, come on. No, I mean, they still trust Bond. Hopefully he's not in his head. Apparently he's been good in practice. He was on a little bit of a streak there for a couple of weeks, and then it went down the toilet. So that's just the roller coaster we're on with the kicking game right now. It just is. 56-14, says Jeb. Love the Office Christmas episode. Yeah, for sure. Sanford says, David, good to see you, David. I read your comment earlier. Anyone see the Aaron Torres segment on Texags today? I didn't watch Texags, but someone told me about the segment, and I went back and watched it. That was awkward. I mean, he was tweeting recklessly this weekend. He just was. So it happened. Rudy, good to see you. And shout out to you. Thank you for being here. You are an impressive Aggie. Just had to say that. I promised him a shout out today. People forget Terry Bussey played running back last year. That's how it was going. He played receiver, running back, and quarterback last year. He did a little bit of everything, but he's fully into that receiver mode now. Obviously, still a work in progress. And the comparison I'm making is, remember Demetrius Crownover was a long-term project for A&M, coming into college as a tight end, switching over to tackle, and now his 4th and 5th years have been where we reap what we've sown there. And I'm expecting a similar arc for Terry Bussey, but you're still getting some stuff from Bussey. You had a huge first down from Bussey on that 4th and 2 this last game. Seems like he's good for one big first down reception a game right now. That's kind of what he's doing. But we're waiting for that ABR breakout. Guys, I'll keep reading off the chat in a minute, but I'm going to go ahead and give you guys my players that have exceeded expectations this year, that have really blown us away, that have really stepped up to the plate. And some of these guys are guys that were unexpected. Some of these guys are guys that we had some expectations for and have just done better. And I want to go through as many as I can right now. I'm going to really stop and focus on the first 4, then I'll kind of go rapid fire through the rest, because there's a lot of guys. If you're a good football team, you're going to have players break out. You are going to have guys emerge. That is how college football works. Guys step up. Guys become dudes year to year. And that's what's happening here. And I don't think you can start a list like this. I think you have to list this guy first. I think it's been the biggest story of the season in terms of an individual player stepping into a prominent role, a role that wasn't expected, a role that wasn't even there at the beginning of the year. And that's Damian Sanford. You start with Scooby. You start with Torian York. And in the first couple of games, it looked like Jordan Lockhart had kind of won some of those reps over in fall camp. And I think the coaching staff was excited about Lockhart. But in that Notre Dame game on the road, you wanted some experience in there. Scooby goes down after a big interception. I think Scooby was having a really good year up until that point, a really good start to the year. Enter Damian Sanford. Since then, Damian has been nothing short of a playmaker for this defense. I mean, what an explosion. 5th highest graded player on this team per PFF on this defense of players who are, getting regular snaps. Big plays, the strip versus Missouri, the interception versus Mississippi State. He is 3rd on sacks on the team at 3.5 at the linebacker position. 2nd in tackles for loss at 8.5, and 2nd in tackles. This is a breakout that we didn't even have on our radar. For Damian Sanford, I thought this was okay, he's in the Moffitt method for another offseason. He's going to get better, but he doesn't have to be in this huge role. can he just give us quality reps off the bench to spell Torian or Scooby? But he's a star. He's a star of this defense. It seems like every time there's a big play, he is involved in it. He gets penetration. He does what he's supposed to do. We're seeing the big plays, and he's becoming more solid in between the big plays now as he's gaining reps and gaining experience as this year goes on. And you're just so grateful to have these guys that just stay ready, that keep the belief, that are just really good teammates. Obviously, really good head on this kid's shoulders to not sulk or to not be down or to not kind of fade away after maybe not being in the rotation like he would have wanted to be through UTSA and Utah State. And then when he was called upon, he has absolutely exploded. So Damian Sanford, guys, it's one of these guys we tip our hats to. He's one of these guys that went from just, bench player to SEC star on a championship contending team. I mean, you cannot give enough compliments to Damian Sanford. I'm going to go ahead and go with the second guy, an echo to what you guys are saying in the chat. A lot of Sanfords in the chat and a lot of Ashton Bethel Roman in the chat. Going into the year, we knew what we had, right? We knew we had the quarterback. We knew we brought in a couple of portal receivers we were very hopeful for. We were hopeful for Bussy to take some steps. We had this great stable. We had this offensive line. We had some tight ends we were very excited about. But we had a feeling that there was room in this receiver room with the 2 or 3 clear at the top for a 4th or 5th guy to kind of, step into the scene. And we get the rumblings in fall camp that Ashton Bethel Roman, an explosive player, a favorite target of Marcel Reed from our fall camp reports. In the early part of the year, he didn't have that many targets. He wasn't a focal point of the offense, and whenever he got involved, there were a couple of drops here or there, and that was the case for the first 5 or so games of the year. He had a couple of receptions. It wasn't all bad, but he wasn't like a mainstay. You go on this road stand, right? You're at Arkansas. You're in a game that's back and forth. You're in a game where you needed every point you got, and he comes up big. He gets the first touchdown of the day. He gets a drive-extending reception contested late in the game, 4 total receptions in the game versus LSU. I know this drive didn't end with anything, but he had that one-handed grab on, I think, a 3rd and long. Big play, big grab. Obviously, versus Missouri, he gets the touchdown, and then just, completely explodes when Mario Craver's down in the second half of that South Carolina game. We had a feeling that he'd be pretty good, but now it's like you have KC and Craver and Ashton Bethel Roman. He has risen to the occasion. He has risen to that level, and it seems like he rose to that occasion when this team needed it the most. And part of that was probably just getting his feet wet, right? Dipping his toes into the waters of this football season as a player for the first time, because obviously a bench player last year, immediately in a major role this year, and it just took some games to get it going. So that's why you kind of proceed with patience. You let things develop. You don't throw guys out just because they've been slow. Des Ricks, another guy. You could have thrown him out last year, and I know a lot of Aggies would have. But Des Ricks is another guy who's bust onto the scene and become a quality DB. It's just another guy that has stayed the course, not gotten too low, not kind of faded when he wasn't having his way or having the touches he wanted or having the success he wanted. And now he's a big-time player for this team. Complements this room perfectly. It doesn't have a lot of size. He's big, he's long, he's fast. It's the perfect complement to what you have going in this, kind of slot-based receiver room. Let's stay in that room. Because this is a guy that I think we had some hope for. I think we had some sort of anticipation for. But now, 10 games in, he's a superstar. And that's Mario Craver. Coming into the year, like we're talking about this receiver room, we knew we brought in KC, and KC had a really strong track record at NC State. We kind of knew what we were going to get as long as he could just be himself. And he has. I mean, KC has lived up to our highest expectations. But Mario Craver, I was kind of like, okay, this is a compliment to KC. This is a guy that can be that deep threat like he was at Mississippi State last year. This is a guy that could be a prototype slot receiver route runner. But what I didn't anticipate is the game-breaking ability to just break tackles or evade tacklers, evade defenders, and just manufacture explosives out of bubbles or short RPO quick hitters or screens. I mean, the contact balance for the guy this size, a really small player, he can't weigh more than 170. He's probably like in the 160s, if that. I mean, he's a small guy. But the ability, just how many times has he been like tripped up and he just regains his balance and keeps running? How many times has the defender kind of just glanced off of him and he keeps running? How many guys can he just make miss? And then obviously the highlight of the year, the touchdown versus Notre Dame. I mean, and at this point, he and KC, they're both right now 10 games in the 780s receiving yards of the year. And of course, they get handoffs too. They can do so many things. But just an absolute offense-defining, game-changing playmaker that I didn't anticipate. I didn't anticipate the catch and run ability. That blew me away. You know, I was thinking like, okay, if KC's at around 780 yards now, Craver's probably around 450 yards right now, complimenting him well. You know, you have some other guys complimenting the room, but no, man, we have 1A and 1B in this receiver room. And I know KC's like the go-to receiver, right? Like the prototype receiver, but as a playmaker, Mario Craver is that guy, and he has blown away even our loftiest expectations on the year. So you got to give him a shout-out, and it's going to share something in common with the next player I'm going to list. Because this is one that we all thought would have a big year, and I see a couple of y'all naming him in the chat. It's a guy we had a pretty good feeling would have some success this year based on what we saw last year. Cassius Howell. I mean, we had expectations for him, high expectations for him. We thought he could be a really good pass rusher this year. We didn't think he'd be a finalist for the Nagurski Award. I mean, top 4. He's there right now. It was announced today. This guy is in the running for best defender in the country. That's what you're getting out of Cassius Howell. Going into the year, it was like, okay, expanded role. He was good off the bench last year in his role. Can that just scale up? Not only has it scaled up, you're 11.5 sacks into the year. 38 total pressures on the year. 38 quarterback pressures. 25 quarterback hurries. A staggering 22% win rate. That is not something you see very often. If you just scour through like the PFF numbers, you don't see that for guys over like 200 snaps in the season. That's like stuff that like players get when they play like 50 snaps mop-up duty. They're talented. They come in. They have like a 40% win rate. They have like a 25% win rate. To be at 22% and a 91 pass rush grade, whatever you put into that for PFF, anything in the 90s is insane for PFF. They're pretty strict. I mean, this guy's a superstar. Von Miller, Myles Garrett. I'm not going to say it just yet. I'm not going to put him there just yet. Let's finish this season. But he is right there on that track. He is a defense-defining player, right? Like, they will scheme their blitzes around the attention that Cassius Howell draws, right? Like, if they're allocating slide protection to wherever Cassius Howell is, they'll just drop him into coverage or as a spy, and they'll rush to the other side where there's a lack of numbers. And we actually saw that on the last play of the game versus South Carolina. That was the exact blitz that they ran against South Carolina on that 4th down game-sealing play. Cassius Howell dropped into coverage. They allocated blockers there. There was pressure on the other side. Flushed out. The instincts of Cassius Howell shone through right there, and he made the tackle at the sideline. Didn't get too far back. Didn't get too much depth. Stayed flexible. Stayed able to attack that quarterback if he rushed. Funneled it right to him. He made the play. Wow. Wow. Offenses have to account for him. Defenses can build their looks off of him. I mean, I don't think anybody expected this level. Even the highest expectations weren't this. All right, I went slowly through those. I'm going to go a little bit quicker through the rest because you could just go all day naming guys that have broken out. Like I said at the top of the segment, this is what makes great teams in college football. Guys stepping up, guys leave, because obviously Cassius Howell filling in for 3 guys that went pro in the top 2 rounds last year, and you're just better. You're just better now with a guy that, you know, didn't have that billing going into the year. Just really good stuff, and we'll stay on the D-line. I've talked about it a lot the last few weeks. Tyler Onyedem as a run defender is a star. He is a star in his role. He penetrates. He pushes people back. He tackles through their gap. He keeps bodies off of him. He's a really strong, flexible run defender, and he has changed the game for A&M's run defense. A&M's run defense is an ongoing work in progress. It'll never be a strength of this team, but Tyler Onyedem is one of the guys that prevents it from being a weakness, man. I mean, how many plays has he blown up by himself? And this is a 5th-year senior that you brought in as a 5th-year transfer portal player that you were just... You're squeezing every bit of juice out of the orange here. Insane player development, insane evaluation to bring this guy in and get this out of him in a prominent role. Onyedem has blown away my expectations in a big way, and that's gotten better and better as the weeks have gone on. I mean, his biggest performance, I know Missouri had some success running, but a lot of those plays were destroyed by Tyler Onyedem. Really good stuff. I touched on him earlier. Des Ricks deserves some attention here. I mean, a lot of Aggies were done with him last year after that bowl game showing, after the Auburn game. I mean, he was a freshman-age player, kind of placed into a lead cornerback role in the SEC against, you know, what is now one of the best offenses in the country in USC, and that showed. But this offseason, they bring in Julio Humphrey, competition at the position, and Julio plays. Julio has a good role in the team. But Desrick's had a choice here. Like, which way does this go? Do I lose this job? Do I kind of concede it to the upperclassmen? Do I wait a year, wait in the wings, get some reps, and then it's my turn the next year? Or do I take this thing head on and outright earn the cornerback 2 spot, the field corner side, and become a reason A&M might be able to go toe-to-toe with some of the best receiver cores in the country? I mean, you go up against Indiana with Surratt and Omar Cooper, and you got 2 corners out there that can do their thing if you find yourself in that game. I mean, there have been some good receiver cores you've gone up against, and you just don't have a hole at either corner. And it hasn't all been great. But think about last year. Balls going over your head all the time. Players getting behind you all the time. For the most part, that's not been an issue this year. And Desrick's development is certainly a huge part of that. We talked about E.J. Smith. You lose Le'Veon Moss. You lose your short yard back. You lose your heart and soul of your offense, kind of your steady heartbeat. And like I said, last year that punished you. Last year you felt that. This year you obviously have Ruben Owens around. You didn't have him last year. That was a big deal. It would have been nice to have him last year. You do now, and Ruben's doing great. But E.J. Smith has become that guy when you need a yard, when you need a touchdown, when you need some late game reps, become reliable. It's not perfect, but I mean, just transformation. Because last year he couldn't find daylight. He couldn't break a tackle. He couldn't get forward lean. He was running into trouble. The instincts have improved. The body has improved. And we are getting fantastic reps out of E.J. Smith. And I talked about Sanford being the best story on the team this year. E.J. Smith's got to be right there too. Because he transferred in last year. Didn't get a big role last year. He was kind of fourth fiddle. Few reps here and there. Few reps a game maybe. Bigger role later in the year. Didn't really get it going. But he stays the course. Sticks it out. And now he's being highlighted here and by Aggies across the country. I mean, he has been such a godsend to this team after Le'Veon Moss went down. I mean, if you don't have him, I don't know if you get some of those short yard conversions. It's been absolutely huge. Marcus Radcliffe, I think the most underrated player on this team. He just does his job. And you have some gap fit problems with the defense. You've had some tackling problems with the defense. Marcus Radcliffe has not been a culprit here. And going into the year, I mean, last year I had high hopes for him. Obviously, that secondary was a mess last year. Bringing in a new coaching staff, bringing in so many players to kind of piecemeal that thing last year. It made sense that it didn't go according to plan. But this year, a couple years in the weight room with Tommy Moffitt now, and we heard rumblings that he was an offseason hero in terms of just body development. That's shown in his tackling. The angles are there for Marcus Radcliffe, and I just love the tackling from Marcus from the safety position. He's a guy that if he gets a hand on you, he clings on. He brings you down. For the most part, takes really good angles, has been really good in coverage. He's kind of stepped into more of that free safety role after Bryce Anderson went down, and that's not his natural position, but he's playing it really, really well. I think on this whole team, if there's an unsung hero, a guy that just does his job, a guy that just doesn't hurt you and gives you plus play, it's Marcus freaking Radcliffe. You could go Nate Borkesher here. You could go Theo Mellon-Orstrom and his development as a blocker, which has been fantastic. You're getting great blocking from those two and Micah Riley. There's just so many guys that have stepped up this year, guys. That's my list. I want to hear from you. Comment your breakout players. Expand on the ones I've brought up. Thank you guys for being here. Make sure you like and sub. All right, guys. I'm going to go back to the chat and hear what you guys are saying. Hear your breakout players list, and then we'll get right into the calls here. David, what he wants to see this weekend are players who either haven't played or hardly played, like Tiger Ryden. That's a good one, man. You should have an opportunity to do that. I think, I know typically you want to get your starters out by third quarter. I think you could do it earlier this game. If you are strong at the beginning of the game, which is a task that this team should be looking to accomplish this week, because that's not something they have done consistently this year, you should be in a place where you can start sitting select guys in the second quarter, right? You should be able to sit Cassius Howell. You should be able to sit Ruben Owens. You should be able to sit some offensive linemen. Not just do a mass sub, but select some guys and kind of put some depth guys in there as this game goes on. And by the third quarter, we should be seeing a lot of guys like Tiger Ryden, David. That's a really good call, and I hope we get to do that. And, of course, stay healthy. Please stay healthy this weekend. Oh, I think we might see what Morrow can do this Saturday. Big Morrow game for sure. I think we'll see some E.J. Smith, too. Oh, man. Borkesher's a really good 1-6 Aggies. He's been a guy that has just gotten better as this year gone on. It started hot with the Notre Dame game, but now he's become a favorite target. And we were kind of wondering, I was looking at my preseason video about breakout players, And, I had Amari Niblack on there. That hasn't really happened. It's not over. They're still playing him. They're still giving him the reps there. I had, ABR on there, and he has become that. But we were looking for, like, that red zone target, right? Like, who was the body they go to in the red zone? And it turns out Casey Concepcion is just so damn good that he is still that guy, and so is ABR. But Nate Borkesher has become that guy, too. That big body in the red zone, that guy that kind of can shield bodies off, that guy that can shield off and make contested grabs, i.e. the Notre Dame game winner. Yeah, Borkesher's broken out, and yeah, he's exceeded expectations. What a player, man. What a freaking player. Did they put out the injury report? No injury report this week because it's not an SEC versus SEC game. They only do that for the SEC matchups. Rumor has it they may medical redshirt Scooby. Can they get it approved? He played 5 games. That'd be awesome. That'd be awesome to get Scooby back. That'd be huge for this team. And they're definitely doing it with Bryce Anderson. That's been announced. Of course, Bryce hasn't even used his regular redshirt, so he's going to get his regular redshirt this year. And apparently, postseason games don't count against your redshirt status. So once you're in the postseason, you play these guys, right? They're in the rotation. So that's huge. That's huge when you definitely have, big postseason games on your horizon. Bryce Anderson is. Yes, Bryce Anderson is. Nagurski will be the Texas Tech linebacker. Sure. All right. Anybody else? Tyler O. Albert Regis has been a stud this year, man. Just so solid is Albert Regis. That's a really good one to call, Jeb, for sure. Le'Veon coming back for TU. Man's going to be sweet. Yeah, guys, if y'all watched the Pulse last night, Le'Veon practiced last week, at least in some capacity. He had pads on in their shell. He had shorts and pads and helmet on. So Le'Veon's out there. And I have a feeling if this game this week was a different kind of opponent, he might be, questionable to play this week. I don't think they'll play him, against Samford because they don't need to. They'll probably just get better reps in practice. But, he's right there. He should be ready for the Texas game. EJ's the most improved by far. Yeah, EJ's been huge. Good call, Ole Army. Marco Jones breakout. All the young guys getting a lot of snaps this week. He's going to be a disruptor. Yeah, could be a big Marco Jones. I think they're giving up like bottom 10 FCS sacks. Major opportunity for the backup. Sam and Pemba might have a game, man. Sam and Pemba game. Hopefully Moss gets a couple carries. I wouldn't rule it out. I don't think so. I wouldn't rule it out. Amari will go for a buck. I hope Amari gets some carries for sure. Bork gets a good one. Robert Borden, yeah, he's next up, and they've been kind of getting him ready this year. He's gotten some big reps this year as that extra tackle. Cab Coleman in the portal, yeah. Isaiah Williams should get a ton of playing time this week. Sure, yeah, I think Isaiah deserves it. I think he should get a good look this weekend. All right, guys, that concludes the chat. Wish list for the game, kind of talked about it. Stay healthy, get young guys in. Take care of business early. That's it. I'm not going to be super exhaustive with, previewing this game. We know what we got to do. We know the game next week. We know the task this week. Go out there, play well, get your reps in, stay healthy. That's it. All right, guys. We're going to get right into the calls. LD Fizzle, you're on, man. How you feeling?
I'm good, Drew. How are you, sir?
Doing well. Well, how you feeling about the team, this game, and maybe some breakout players?
Uh, well, I think the fact that I had multiple people text me during the first half and then after the game asking if I was still alive is probably a big indicator.
Yeah.
Um, but I feel good about the game after the fact, right? Um, I couldn't have asked for a better response, I think, from Coach Elko with what he said about, magic words or anything like that. If we want a culture shift, it's going to take more than those magic words. So I think that was huge by him.
Yeah, nothing was going to change at halftime, right? You are what you are at that point. And fortunately, they had, instilled that culture over the last 6 months. And he talked about winter training and how their ability to come back in that game was established well before that halftime, whatever was said.
Wholeheartedly.
Absolutely, man.
So, Drew, the reason why I chimed in today, I kind of wanted to bring up a point for some folks that maybe are a little bit on the younger ag side. What class are you in?
I'm 19. I'm older than that, but I'm class of 19.
Okay. So I'm class of 16. So my very first year was 12.
Oh,
So I'm
nice.
spoiled.
Yeah.
I'm spoiled, and I got to experience it as a member of the Aggie band. Um, this year's different, right? 2020 felt fun, right? Because we had that opportunity until what a lot of us will agree, we were kind of robbed in the playoff selection.
Right.
But at this point in time in 2012, we had already lost to Florida in game one. We'd already lost to LSU, and
Mm-hmm.
we had, the amazing game against Alabama. But all we were playing for was some potential heartbreak elsewhere in the nation. And then we wanted Johnny to win the Heisman. That's all we really had to look forward to. This year's different, and everybody knows it because of the fact that it's all still on the table. You already mentioned it with the Nagurski. We've got Cassius with, I think, at least another one or two award nominations. Marcel's probably in the running for the Heisman, probably for the Maxwell potentially. All these other, top tier trophies that can be passed out. But with that as well, this team is playing for more than those trophies. And again, this is where I think Coach Elko sticks out a big bunch with the fact that he talks about the coach's mentality and then the CEO mentality. I want that coach that understands and recognizes, yeah, we want our guys to get their recognition, but the ultimate goal here is lifting that trophy.
Yeah, absolutely. And he'll go to bat for his players, but at the same time, understand the task at hand. And you're absolutely right. I mean, what they have shown has been spectacular. The moments, the games have been awesome, just like 2012. But now they're 10-0, and they have the great list of highlights and games already. But they have everything to play for right now, including a trip to Atlanta, an SEC championship, the playoffs, playoff wins, and even more than that is absolutely on the table right now. And looking at this team, it's like there are very few holes on this team. You feel like this team has really passed that eye test. They have a chance to go up against anybody in the country and find success. It's certainly going to be a battle once you find yourselves in some of these high-level games. But in terms of what you've seen, there's just nothing that you feel like will completely hold this team back. And in fact, you could argue this team has a lot more meat on the bone still because they obviously still haven't played 4 clean, full quarters of football yet. So the past is great. The
Agreed.
present is great. The future is great. It's a really good, exciting place to be. And yeah, it's amazing to be in November to have everything and mulligans to play for right now because like you can afford a loss. You don't want to see a loss, but that's where you are and that's what you've earned so far. Good stuff, LD Fizzle. What's your score prediction for the game this weekend?
I've got us at 63-6.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be something like that. This is a bad FCS team. Not like Auburn. Auburn's going up against like the best FCS team this weekend. That'll be interesting. But all right, LD Fizzle, good call. Any closing thoughts?
I think my biggest thing that I would want to leave the rest of the group with is that if we get to the point to where we're playing one of these other big schools, the Ohio State or the Indiana, I'm not as nervous as everybody else puts it out there. I was in the shoe for Ohio State Penn State. Their offensive line looks like they might get eaten up by our D line. So I look forward to making it far into the playoff. I think we will do very, very well.
Absolutely. I think I'm in agreement there, man. Good stuff, LD Fizzle. Thanks for the call. You have a good night.
Thanks, brother. You too.
All right, good stuff, man. Good stuff. Player-led team now, absolutely noble. The culture has permeated the team. The culture is communicated through players, spread through players. Players love each other, believe in each other. They're truly a brotherhood. It's a special place to be. It's a special place to be. Fitch, how we feeling, man?
Yo, Drew, what's up?
What's going on, man? How you feeling? Are you recovered?
Oh my gosh, I've never gone from being so shocked to even more shocked. I mean, I can't even I couldn't even fathom what was happening. It was too crazy.
Well,
Um,
before everything good happened, how are you like what was the thought at halftime? Like I know for me, I was like, man, I know we're capable, but we just put ourselves in a hole in these last like 2 minutes of the second quarter. It's like this is like I know we'll make it a game and I want to see that, but can we even overcome this with how we're playing? That's kind of where I was at. And then obviously things happen quickly, but where were you at?
yeah, I mean, when we were down 20-3, I honestly I was not that worried. I really just
Yeah,
thought like, this team can do what it takes to come back down 17. Like
right.
that's manageable. If they are able to score in these last couple of minutes, then that would be awesome. And then it was just like the pick in the end zone, 80-yard touchdown, another pick. I was just like, wow, this just went from very bad to the worst imaginable. And I mean, at that point, once it was 30-3, I was just thinking like, what can they do to make the score not look as bad?
Yeah.
Because, I was just thinking like we need, even if we lose this game, it's got to at least not look like a complete
I know
blowout.
it's
Because
like
if
holy
it
shit, we're
is, then
getting we're
they're
getting blown out by a pretty bad South Carolina team. Like it was like I'm thinking the same thing you are. Like what is the committee going to think of this? Like we're allowed to drop a game, but if this keeps going this way, what does that say about us? Like how is this even happening? And yeah, man, you had opportunities to score before the half and it's like, "Oh, you score going into the half, it's 10-17." You feel so whatever it was, 10-13, I don't know what it would have been, but it feels totally different and it just goes the complete opposite way. But man, the comeback was fast and it was awesome.
yeah, it was crazy. And I'm honestly super happy about the way that Kyle Field stayed for that game because I mean, for an 11 o'clock game, getting blown out against a bad team, if it was LSU, all the fans would have been gone.
Oh, they're gone.
So I was like really impressed. I mean, from going back to the LSU game last year, I was at that one too, and that was like a crazy environment. But this honestly almost felt crazier because it was so loud, especially in the student section. I was just like, wow, this is crazy. And everybody's still bought. I mean, scoring touchdowns helps a lot when you want it to be
Yeah.
loud, but. It is crazy. I can't even. I was just so shocked by just like how quickly the fan base was able to just be like, "All right, let's go full energy, the reverse direction." And it felt awesome.
It was like it's like we knew we had to step up for the team and make it loud and cause disruptions on defense. And obviously, Lenore Sellers is a vet now, and you weren't going to shut him down with noise, but you could definitely make it a factor. And it seemed like the crowd rose to the occasion throughout that comeback. And it was a really, really weird sensation because it's so full. It was a packed house, record attendance for an 11 a.m. game for A&M, but it was so quiet at halftime. It was like you could hear a pin drop at halftime, but it was like a
Yeah,
full stadium. You just felt like the weight of that game and what was happening. Like you felt it in the air. But they come onto the field and there's like this low rumble. They score that wakes them up a little bit, and then the defense takes the field and there's crowd noise, but it's not as loud as it could be. But as soon as you get that stop, it starts to explode. Man, it was a really wild one to be in the stands for, and just to hear the crowd kind of ebb and flow throughout that game. But they never left, and they were their best late.
yeah, no, absolutely. I've got a couple quick things I wanted to say.
Yeah,
So first of all, I really like how you've been starting to say how Marcus Radcliffe is super underrated
yeah.
because nobody talks about him. And when we got it, was he from San Diego State or somewhere
Yeah.
like that?
San Diego
Yeah,
State started as a freshman
he
1 year.
and he was. I saw his film from when they got him out of the portal and everything. I was like, okay, that's kind of the ideal body you need to kind of
Yeah.
go up against some of these big SEC receivers like Cam Coleman and like some of those guys. And I was like that, and maybe that's not even his skill set necessarily, but what I've seen a lot of is how fast he can move laterally, and I don't even mean just like speed. Like he's not. It's not just pure like he's a missile from side of the field to the other side, but he like when you watch like a outside zone run and he's up there trying to make a play on it, like he's not gonna overcommit to anything and he will get there, which is crazy. Like he'll go all the way to the sideline if he has to.
Yeah.
And I've been really impressed by that. And his like arms and everything. I mean, he's got the width, or what I mean, like not necessarily width, but
No, I mean he's
arm
a
span.
he's a big, long, strong safety. He can cover ground wisely. He takes good angles. He has good timing. He has good anticipation, good feel for the game. And that stuff you don't necessarily have early, and that stuff maybe he suffered with a little bit the year before. Plus, he did transform his body and, by reports, added speed through this offseason program because he was like the number one highlighted player in fall camp of guys who thrived through the offseason training program. He's been huge. And when it's a DB that you're not mentioning much, it usually means they're doing their job really well. Because it's
Yeah,
like you're not going to
absolutely.
really be talking about the DB that just goes out there and does a good job, right? Like you're not going to mention him a lot. But, now that we've had this 10-game sample size, you have to mention him for his consistency and him stepping into this role with Bryce gone because he's playing more free safety now than we've seen before. And it's just been really, really good. I'm glad you brought him up.
Yeah, no, and so then the other thing, the one thing that this has been getting me, but okay, I'll hit you with a little bit of lore. My girlfriend goes to Alabama,
Okay.
and so I get an earful every weekend about
Sure.
all of college football. And this weekend, you know, I was expecting some text at halftime because I was just like, surely she's gonna shoot me out
Right.
for this. But then once we won, she was like all upset about it. And but like, and this is just I feel like I've met s- enough Alabama fans. Hopefully, there's none that are listening that are gonna be like, you don't know anything. But of the ones I've met, they've always just had this air of like they will succeed no matter what happens. And this is like when Saban left and they were gonna hire a coach. I was like, who do you think you're gonna hire somebody good? Like, what if they don't get a good hire and it doesn't work out? And she told me, she was like, oh, we're Alabama, we just hire winners. And I was like, okay, that's the most frustrating thing I've ever heard in my life. But anyways, she was talking about this game and she was talking about how how South Carolina was so bad and we barely won and we only won by one and it was, we were down 30-3 and everything. But she also, back when they beat them in the fourth quarter, was talking about how they're not actually that bad. But my
Yeah.
point in all of this is these people, so many people make all these storylines about how these teams are terrible, and it's like I know South Carolina hasn't had a good season, and I don't think they're some great team or anything. But at the end of the day, a lot of these teams, even South Carolina, have had difficult schedules where they've lost close games several times, and they could have a much better looking schedule or record at least. And these teams all have talent and have a lot of talent. And week to week, like, if this team was able to hold it together and go out and beat us by a million and at the end of the game, it wouldn't be that surprised. I know a lot of people get super shocked by that, like when a poor SEC, I say quote unquote poor SEC team will like upset another one. But I don't find that surprising just because if you look at like blue chip ratio and stuff like that, a lot of these teams have a ton of talent.
Yeah.
And my whole point, I guess, ultimately overarching what I'm trying to say with all this is when Indiana went and played Penn State, they won 27-24. A lot of people were talking about how terrible that win was. And I don't think that was that bad of a win because I still think Penn State's a talented team. But what I do think is kind of an interesting maybe viewpoint on that game that I don't hear a ton of people talk about is how in my eyes, that game is a lot like how a lot of SEC games are, where you go play a 3-5 team and they still have enough talent to beat you.
Yeah.
If, especially if you're going away. And so I'm not sure, like Indiana, if they played that Penn State team 5 more times, win that many more times. And I'm not saying anything against Indiana. I just think maybe people look at these games through kind of just the wrong lens sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, you always hear people talking about how people aren't going to be going undefeated today's day and age. The talent gets dispersed now. The transfer portal, NIL opportunities, players are everywhere now. And you look at South Carolina and kind of what they were doing early against A&M. Well, it was Dylan Stewart who had the strip for the scoop and score. That's one of the best defensive ends in the country. It was Lenora Sellers extending plays. They ran a trick play that was successful on the reverse pass. And it was A&M pressing and just playing poorly and laying an egg. And we talked about this before the game, how, coming home after a big road stretch can breed a little bit of complacency. And, I felt a little bit validated in saying that because Elko mentioned that in the Pulse yesterday, saying that, you come home, you maybe relax a little bit. And I think we saw that early on, maybe not as physical early on, maybe a little less physical team in the first quarter and a half. But then in that second quarter, after the scoop and score, we just saw A&M press and try to get it all back at once. And that was what caused, I think, Marcel Reed to kind of help this thing spiral late in the second quarter. And, you're not going to be perfect every game. You're going to lay an egg. You're going to lose some games. But A&M didn't lose the game. They had that performance. It happened. The worst case scenario happened, and they still found a way to win. This is going to happen to teams, and that's kind of why I understand they put Ohio State at 1 because they have gone through a pretty easy schedule, but still a few challenging games, and they haven't skipped a beat. So that's impressive in its own right. And I would say what A&M has done with their schedule that everyone's pointing and laughing at is just as impressive because, you saw Texas lose to Florida, and that's not a game, anybody would have anticipated at the time. You see these upsets happen. It happens a lot today's day and age. And to be 10-0 at this point with whatever schedule's in front of you, it's commendable. It's a big deal. And that South Carolina team had a few bodies. And, Nick Harbor was a part of that. And he's a guy that strikes fear into any defense's heart. So there were talented players. They were the ones that made it happen in the first half. And A&M played as bad as they could have. They still won the game. Good points, Fitch. Good stuff, man. Give me your score prediction. I'll get you out of here.
I'm thinking 49-6. I don't think we're going to put up 60, but
We'll see. We'll see. I think this
I
one
just
might
feel
be
like
in the
he'll
50s.
pull enough people quickly enough. Absolutely. I don't think the
Yeah.
potential's not
49 is
there,
very
but
possible. 49 is right there on the normal possibility. That's basically 50. It's like what's the difference? But yeah, I mean, they're not only an FCS team, they're a bottom feeder FCS team. We'll see how conservative
yeah.
and many players A&M pulls. But all right, Fitch, good stuff, man. You have a good night.
You do see it.
Later. All right, guys. I do have to step away for 1 second. I'll be right back in about 60 seconds. Don't go anywhere. All right, guys, thanks for bearing with me. Make sure you like the stream. It helps it out. Make sure you drop a sub if you're new here. It really helps the channel grow. I really appreciate you guys being here the night before, or a couple nights before Sanford, lowly Sanford. But Lil Fish, Jimbo's son, coming to town. He's a kicker there, you know. I like the guy. He repped A&M with his full heart when he was here. Best drip in the land, best chain game in the land. I mean, welcome back to College Station, young Lil Fish. Good to see you, man. Lit Sparks, how we feeling, man?
I'm doing well. Glad to be back on the show. How are you?
Doing good, man. I think we're finally like in the recovery phase from last weekend. I think we talked about it. I think we're feeling pretty good. But how are you feeling about the team at this point?
Oh, I'm feeling good. I think that's the best lesson we could get with the best outcome.
For sure.
I mean, this team has had their fights. They've had their bouts, and I was getting a lot of heck from Red Raider fans. They all are all around me around here in West Texas.
Yeah.
So they're giving me heck. And I was like, there is a second half. There's not much I can say right now, but there is a second half. So fortunately it worked out. And they're like, how? I'm like, I don't really know what to tell you.
This was the ultimate circle back game, right? This is the ultimate receipt game. This is the ultimate don't tweet it too early game. Like, and you might have felt like you weren't tweeting it too early. You might have felt like you were giving them heck, you know, appropriately. But A&M, you know, allowed us to come back to it.
Well, and a part of me is thinking, hey, we saw what Indiana did with Penn State. Hold my beer. And then we use the exact same argument they did, where it's like, did you see what just happened, though?
Yeah.
We won.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's I thought for a game I was glad to witness it in person. Largest comeback, who would have thought? Definitely. I mean, I remember the beginning of the season. I had that on my radar as you got to be careful of Shane Beamer in November. But man, I'm glad we got him. And then
yeah.
I was watching, I don't know if you've seen like Aaron Gregory, one of the recruits. He does a lot of YouTube. He put out his video. Man, that was fun. Just how loud and hyped we got it towards the end. Like, you're really hoping other recruits are watching his content just to get a feel of A&M, especially with the flip targets that were there.
Yeah, it was awesome because like the recruit crowd was electric. Like, they were getting hyped with the outcome of the game. Obviously, they didn't leave; they were there watching through the end. And obviously, Gregory's going crazy. I think he was next to Madden. Is that right?
Yeah, I think that was the name that popped up when he was talking about it.
And they showed him on the field. He got to meet Johnny Football. He, you know, I saw him chopping it up with Matt Salvaggio. I saw him chopping it up with Trooper Taylor. It's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, what more can you want? We want to build off of culture, and that's exactly what Elko's brought. The thing I wanted to mention, I wanted to highlight just the O-line. Usually when you highlight them, it's over bad things. That first half was probably the worst, but fortunately, hopefully that's the last we see, because that is what they're going to have to be, a very physical team to make sure that they've given Marcel time and anything to just free it up for our offense to really proceed forward, especially when it comes to postseason and what that looks like. But I was just glad that they found themselves second half and really been the team that we've seen all season.
Yeah.
So sounded like what was awesome is no one was mad at each other or pointing fingers. They were all like, we're still in this together.
Yeah.
And I think that's just uncommon. Especially when we're hearing all about come to play to get paid, these mercenary builds, and yet you're seeing with A&M, like Elko's probably got one of the best transfer portals out of production.
Yes.
We might not see that grade, but I mean, look at how much production they've brought, and I think it's been that blend of Elko and Moffitt working together, making those players even excel better than we could have hoped for. So it's just been an awesome time to be an Aggie, and I'm trying to enjoy every piece of it, but I'm also getting excited to what's to come.
Yeah, I mean, the portal hits, just picking the right guys and bringing the right guys in That has been huge, but then also just getting more out of guys like Onyedem, who was a fifth-year guy. I mean, obviously Cassius Howell in his 2 years here has stepped up in a huge way. I mean, not only are you bringing in the right guys, but they're developing the right guys. So many portal players are hitting for this team. Obviously, the receiver core, Craver, Concepcion, Borkasher, the defense, Onyedem, Howell. I mean, Hayes is like the second sack getter on the team. You're getting good stuff from TJ Searcy. It's been a really, really good get. I mean, Des Ricks, Will Lee, Marcus Ratcliffe. The list goes on and on. It's just been a huge couple of years of talent acquisition. It's something you typically can't do that quickly in the previous kind of era of football. Now coaches can go and get their guys, and when they're a coach like Elko who he evals and develops well, it really, really shows. So Lit Sparks, man, good stuff. What's your score prediction this weekend?
Well, I was thinking about it. I was looking at Noble's on the board. He had 52-10 is what he had, and a part of me is like, maybe, but I'm actually going to go 48, or maybe it's already taken, 48-7. Like, I think they might score one touchdown in garbage time.
Yeah.
But I know Elko wants these guys to play that to their level, not Sanford's level, the level he wants, all 4 quarters. So we'll see if he finally gets it. I'm hoping. I mean, that'd be a wish list of everyone gets to eat that game, and then they go into Texas ready.
Absolutely. Let everyone play, stay healthy, play well. It'll be a good one. All right, Lit Sparks, good call. You have a good night, man.
You too. See y'all.
Later. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. Hey, y'all check out, is my mic volume good? I adjusted it. Sometimes it reverts back to default settings, and the default setting for this mic is super low. I could probably bump it up just a little bit more now that I'm seeing it. I don't know why it does that every now and then. I usually keep it around 200%. Sometimes it reverts back to 100%, and that's way too quiet. Y'all let me know if the mic sounds good. All right. Play to win, man. How are we feeling?
Well,
Yeah.
well, a lot better now.
Yeah.
Because last Saturday, I mean, at halftime, I'm getting in my car, I'm going to, and I'm just, I'm upset, of course, like all of us were. And I'm thinking, I'm feeling that feeling coming on, like this is what it feels like to lose a game. And it was not a good feeling. And when I got there, I walked, fed the squirrels, got back in the car, and I had 97.5 on ESPN Houston because they carry the Aggie games. And I had to listen to Andrew Monaco.
Oh, yeah.
Dave Elbendorf for a few minutes anyway until I got back to the house to watch the second half. And it was, to watch, it was incredible to what we did. We scored 4 touchdowns in a span of 20 minutes. It was that quick. And I mean, all our weapons, I mean, it was Isaiah Williams. He was the first one.
Yeah.
The second one, I think it was Ashton Bethel Roman. I think in the end zone. And then Nate Borkacher, he caught it. And E.J. Smith just plowed his way in.
Yeah.
Get out of my way. I mean, he ran up into that end zone, and that was our last touchdown scored. Then the defense, they were spectacular. They stopped SC from scoring again. I mean, they hadn't scored since the first half, and they never would again. So it was a great effort by our defense. And man, we got somebody. You're asking about who's your breakout player, who's your guy, who's the one. Just name him.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who. You can't go wrong. Anybody that you mentioned, you can say on defense, Torian York, Des Ricks. You can say Albert Regis. It didn't. Hey, whoever. And on offense, mine is Ashton Bethel Roman.
Yeah.
That's the one that stands out in my mind because that circus catch in the LSU game.
Yeah.
Remember, he did that 180. He catches the ball as 180, runs up down sideline and scores.
Yeah.
So there's so many of it. He complements KC Concepcion and Mario Craver well there in that position. Isaiah Williams is starting to be an up-and-coming wide receiver for us. Or you can say Mario Morrow in the backfield. Hey, he has had a good game.
Yeah.
He's played well. He's really showed his stuff. So, and we needed him with, Le'Veon Moss going out. I mean, we needed some guys to step up. We had E.J. Smith. We have what is let's see, what is it? Coach Troop calls it the stable.
The stable.
The stable. It's the stable. And then I like Coach Elko. Last night I was watching him on the Aggie Hour, and Andrew Monaco, and they were talking, and he's, really the guys went in halftime in the locker room, and they're trying to figure out how can we beat this team? How can we go back out? They weren't freaking out. They weren't, sweating bullets or nothing like that. They just went back in there and said, okay, let's think about this, and let's see what can we do to beat this team and go out and beat them. And that's exactly what happened. This is another instance where we didn't blink.
Didn't blink. Rose to the occasion. Yeah, you're right. That they didn't hang their head. They didn't feel down. They didn't need a rah-rah halftime speech, even though they might have gotten one. They were ready. They knew the task at hand. They just had to focus up, lock in, and maybe just play a little bit more and think a little bit less. And they got it done.
Yeah, Elko said, I didn't say anything special. He didn't pull an Arlie Ermy.
Yeah.
Y'all need to start out and play football.
Yeah. Didn't need to do it.
It wasn't none of that, man. It was just figuring it out. This is what we got to do. Let's go back out there and let's do it. Now, you got to realize we beat a 3-6 football team. They're like 1-7 in conference.
Yeah.
SC is just a bottom cellar dweller. Well, besides Arkansas, but the thing was, now if it had been against Georgia, but against Alabama, it'd probably been a little bit different story on how that game would have came out. But it was SC, so we had that chance to go back out there and prove ourselves and get that game won, and by a point.
But you could also argue on that same token that maybe the team doesn't start as slow if it's a team that really gets their full attention, because maybe there was a little bit of complacency early in that game coming home against a cellar dweller in the conference. Not necessarily a team that gets you too hyped up. Maybe the team leaning on the crowd a little bit more. But you're right; it would have been tougher to come back if you found yourself in that deficit versus a team that's better coached. I like that you point out all the touchdown scorers in that game. When we're talking about the breakout players, everyone that scored the ball is kind of like a this-year breakout player. E.J. Smith, a this-year breakout player. ABR, a guy that's busting onto the scene these last four guys. Isaiah Williams is busting onto the scene now before our eyes. And who was the fourth? Nate Borkesher, obviously a this-year breakout player. So these are all guys that are like kind of new to the scene, new to the party. And this is they're a big part of this comeback. They are the comeback. I mean, just a testament to what they're getting out of guys that have been here and guys they've brought in. Obviously, ABR and EJ were here last year, but then Borkesher and Isaiah Williams was here last year too. So just guys that have stayed around and just gotten better and waited till their opportunity rose, and they rose to the occasion. So really, really good stuff.
Yeah, they did. And another thing too is that they're peaking at the right time. These guys are coming into the game making a difference.
They're getting more players.
Right,
more guys are
about to go into the playoffs.
Yeah. You're getting more guys as this thing goes on.
They're making their names known. They're playing great football, and we need to give them a lot of reps Saturday. We need the second and third. Let them get in there, and give them all the reps we can give them. And I don't even know about Marcel. I don't know if Marcel needs to play more than one quarter.
Yeah,
maybe we'll see how it works out. But in my score prediction, I'm going to call it. Aggie's 49. We scored 7 touchdowns against Samford's, I think, 2 touchdowns and a field goal. So I'm going to say 49-17 A&M.
All right, man. We'll see. We'll see who gets this thing this week. All right, good stuff, Play to Win. Thanks for the call. We'll talk soon.
Talk soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, for the record, I haven't given my score prediction. I'm going to go 56 to 10. I'm going 56 to 10, y'all. That's how I feel, and I'm sticking to it. All right. Depth. Absolutely, Richter. We got it. We got it big time. All right, we'll keep this thing going. Jay, Paul, how we feeling, man?
Hey, Primo, I'm all right, buddy. How about you?
Doing good. Just can't wait to see these boys play again.
286-1, man. We'll always say we're that one, 20 years from now.
Hey, they did further research. That number goes back further than 2004. It ended up being like 306, 1 in 360. They actually brought that thing back further. I think that they kind of capped it at 2004 for that initial read of 1 in 286. It's in the high 300s, man. It's just incredible. We'll never forget it.
I had to go back before computers,
Yeah.
But, yeah, man, we needed all hands on deck for that one, right? 12th man. Freshman who hadn't even caught a ball this year, hell, even the DPS trooper, right?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely, man. They needed everybody. Everybody had to step up, and they did.
That's the thing. And you know, having coached kids for a while, those start times they make a difference.
Yeah.
When you're used to playing at night, and also 11 a.m. you're just kind of groggy. I mean, it makes a difference. But one thing that really surprised me is typically when you're getting whipped up front, you know, that doesn't change that much. If you're dropping balls or penalties or something, blown coverage, those will come around. But I mean, those guys just came out. I don't think we had. I don't think Marcel had any pressure on him the entire second half. And those are legit dudes on that D line too for South
Oh
Carolina.
yeah.
They got first round picks on that team. That's the difference with the SEC. Even though their record sucks, right?
Yeah.
I mean, those are first round dudes over there still.
And those were the guys making plays in the game. Dylan Stewart, Lenoris Sellers, Nick Harbor. Those were the big playmakers for them. So it makes sense. Like, they were going to find some success. But we also, just like you said, had that early morning complacency, coming home a little bit groggy. And they just needed to wake up a little bit and play cleaner in the second half, get more physical in that second half, protect better in that second half, do everything better, get better quarterback play, everything.
Yeah. I mean, we had, what, 4 sets in the second half, but
Yeah.
it seems like a lot more, man. I mean, just seemed like there's pressure every single down. Just how fast we scored. I like seeing how we can slow the pace or speed it up. I think Elko, I had never heard that before. It was confident call it the 6 minute offense. I like that term.
Yeah.
It's not too many, not going light speed NASCAR, but you're trying to get two scores in whatever, 6 minutes, right? So
Yeah.
uh, I don't know. I like that though. But I'll tell you one guy I think really undervalued that. I mean, you don't hear his name at all. It's Tyreek Chappelle.
Yeah.
Just think how last year those slot receivers for other teams were just killing us, man. That he came in and put a stop to that. He was kind of, you could tell he needed to catch his wind and get his feet right those first couple games. But I mean, you never hear his name called, and that's typically what you're going to hear from the slot guy if only
Yeah.
we're getting beat a DB.
Oh, yeah. We were calling the slot guy's name way too often last year. It's completely changed this defense.
Yeah, no doubt, man. But hey, I'm gonna get back here to Friday Night Lights. But I just wanted to drop in and get my score. I mean, it's tough on these type of games, right? You don't know how long anyone's gonna play. Is there even a spread for this game?
No, not for FCS games. Nuh-uh. Nothing.
All right, let's go 48-6 then.
48.
Miles O'Neal with 3 touchdowns.
Okay. I like it, Jay Paul. I like it, man. Good stuff, Jay. I appreciate the
All
call,
right.
man. You have a good night.
Talk to you later. Thank you.
All right. We'll keep this thing moving right along. I want to shut up for our defense. Hey, they could get it. They could definitely get it. You just need to get good reps from the guys who've never played before and some walk-ons late. That's probably what's going to happen. I mean, I know we're talking like complete disregard for Sanford. It's just another level of football. They're FCS, but they're also one of the worst FCS teams. So it just is what it is. We're going to see walk-ons. We're going to see younger players late. And hopefully you see some third stringers early. Like, that's the goal here. Take care of business early, because what's going to slow you down early in this game is you making mistakes and you not playing clean. That's it. That's it. Benzo, you're on. How we feeling, man?
Oh, much better now.
Yeah.
Took me a couple days to recover.
Yeah, that one took something out of us.
Yeah, I got exposed with my BAS, and yeah, man. Like I said on Twitter or X, man, I was ready to quit. I was like,
Yeah, man. It felt as bad as it could, but then it felt as good as it could. Like this is how I describe the game. It's like you could have watched every preview video last week. You could have like looked at the sports betting. You could have looked at ESPN. And you could have if you're not an Aggie or a South Carolina fan, you might not even have known this game was happening. And then all of a sudden, this first half goes on. Everyone's looking at it. Everyone's like, oh, the Aggies are getting blown out. And then you kind of manufacture this great story of the ability to come back and just keep the spirit and win the game. It could have been a nothing. Like, you end up probably feeling a little bit better about this team than if you would have just gone out there and won by 3 scores and Marcel just has a quiet 200-yard game, 3 touchdowns. It would have been okay. But, in going down and feeling so low and being able to right that ship, you kind of build this great story. You probably add to his Heisman campaign. You probably add to what this team is and can do and the belief in this team. And you hate to have to do that. You hate that you had to be there, but like Elko said, wow.
Yeah, and then it was silly because at the end it was like, man, why was I even doubting the Elko culture? Like it's like, okay, now I understand.
Yeah, I know that was
But yeah,
culture
it felt
showcased.
like that. I was like, at the first half, I was like, dude, are we in the freaking twilight? I was like, what is going on here?
Yeah, yeah, we were definitely sleepy.
But yeah, no, it was good. Yeah, it was good. I'm excited for this, and well, so.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it was that got exposed, but it was funny because like when everyone was leaving, everyone was like grabbing their heart and their chest.
I know.
I was like, it's gonna be okay, man. Just breathe.
I know. After that game, I just stood there like with my hands in the air like this, like just relief and like done. And then I just sat in my chair for like 20 more minutes. I'm sure the ushers were getting pissed at me. I couldn't move. I was just stuck there in my seat. I couldn't get up from it. It was just a stunner, man. Benzo, you're breaking up a little bit. Why don't I get your score prediction real quick? So you're kind of cutting in and out. I want to make sure I get that in case something happens.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I'm going to do a little dead spot. Score prediction, it would be 53, or I'm sorry, 53-3.
53-3. A little scoregami with the offensive score. I like it. All right, Benzo, I'm going to have to let you go because I don't want to lose you here. But any closing thoughts?
Yes, sir. No, like I said, just lost hope, but then, also understood like the confidence level as far as like the culture and everything. And I'm glad everything fell to the. I'm glad the way the game went.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, okay, yeah, now I have full confidence.
Yeah.
Even if we lose the game, it's just like, okay, we can rebuild,
Yeah.
or like jump back or whatever.
Yeah. Good stuff, Benzo. You have a good night.
You too. Thank you.
Yeah, man. I mean, you feel like no matter what, you're down and out. And that's the thing with that game. Like, you can lose a game. Like, you're allowed to lose a game. You've earned the right. You've earned a late season mulligan. Like, you can lose. It's fine. You can come back and win. Ohio State did it last year. But the way that game was going, 30-3, getting blown out to that team, like, that was, like, on the table at halftime. We felt like that was possible. And it just didn't happen because this team is just like that. I mean, you keep the mulligan, you don't lose, you're 10-0, you have a spectacular comeback. Man, just so many things you could say about that game. Noble, man, how we feeling?
What is up, Team U Nation?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Good to hear from you. It's been a minute.
I know. I think I was trying to like wrap up a date last night, Friday night, but it was kind of late at that point.
Nice. Good to hear you out there. Good to hear you're out there.
I'm glad that maybe it was for the best that I didn't call in because I definitely would have talked my shit and got my shit pushed in for that. But anyways, I mean, there was a lot of teams we don't want to lose to, but something about South Carolina and Shane Beamer losing to his goofy ass would have been just so miserable at home.
Right.
You heard how he was talking at the halftime, like it was the post-game press conference. So
hyping the crowd up, doing the thing with his arms, all spindly
like
and skinny.
And like an inflatable man.
I know. Wacky inflatable guy in the wind.
Yeah. So I'm glad we didn't have to deal with that. And what a resounding win. Like it's funny you say like the interesting thing about the whole thing is that like somehow we feel better despite a close win about our chances for the rest of the season with this. And I think it's just because we tasted our own blood and we hadn't done that in a while.
Yeah.
And to come out in the second half like that, like it was like I think you said it earlier. Like this wasn't like Elko didn't say anything. Like I think they didn't show anything on the polls because it wasn't even that dramatic. Quite frankly, I think it was like a player-led effort. And if anything, I wish they'd shown what Marcel had said. Of course, supposedly he'd like hey, if you don't think we can win, stay in the locker room or something like that.
Yeah.
But that's a player thing. They want to keep that to themselves, and I think that's true like signs of a championship DNA is when the players take up the mantle of leadership.
Yeah, and they're absolutely doing that, man. You see it from Torian in the polls saying we're not letting these guys down. You hear that there was no one with their head down at halftime. There was just belief, figuring out how they could do it. And it looked as bad as it could have at halftime. It went as bad as it could have. And, yeah, you end up feeling better about this team even though they found themselves in that hole. And you're right. They faced immortality. They were, they faced mortality. They were face to face with the feeling that they could be beaten, that they could be, downed, and they were able to come back from it. But just being down and understanding what that feels like, and understanding like the series of events that will lead you to that, and now knowing how to overcome that, and knowing like very saliently and tangibly the play that doesn't lead to that in the second half, that has to be a lesson that carries this team forward. That has to be a confidence boost. That has to be that wake-up call, that like kind of, just a little bit of a shock right before the critical part of this year, TU and postseason. Like, that might end up being the best thing that could have happened to Texas A&M this year.
100%. I think the interesting, like, when did you think, like, or did you always think, like, hey, there's a chance of a comeback? Like, obviously you stayed for the game, but what were you thinking going into the half? Because I remember, like, at 20-10, I think you said to yourself, like, hey, they got a chance, and then you saw the final 10 points given up. It's like, all right, technically we still have a chance, but that got tougher by a significant margin.
Yeah, I was kind of there. I was like, I mean, I know we have a chance. First of all, like, the thing I was thinking is, like, we just better not look like we looked in the first half. Like, at least clean it up. Like, at least go out there and play better football. And I didn't know how good we were even able to play that day. Like, at halftime, I was thinking, like, do we have a 10% chance to win this game right now? Like, it's very unlikely, but it's not impossible. It's kind of what I was thinking. But mostly I was just shell-shocked, right? Like, you're just kind of like, the hell?
Yeah,
like,
you don't know what to think.
What is going on right now? Like, you're just kind of stunned, right? Like, you're not thinking that much. You're kind of just there eating it and feeling the emotions.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't even tell you what the Fighting Texas Aggie band did at halftime. I was just like out of it. Like, just
absolute blur.
Absolute blur. But, I felt like they had a chance to score and make it a game. I honestly didn't think they would storm back as quickly as they did. So you learned how bad it could be, but you also learned how quickly they can turn it around.
Yeah, I think what gave me hope is that we've seen this team, like, that second half of LSU is about as dominant as we've seen a stretch. And, if we can do that, then we can do this at home against a worse South Carolina team. Obviously, South Carolina still got NFL guys. Yeah. Still, have credit to Shane Beamer to having those guys still play up. They did have a body prepared for us, that being said. But anyways, like, I wouldn't have given us like much credit if we just like came back and made it close and lost close, because like it was a do or die situation in a sense of like you put yourself in such a hole. The only way you can pull something out of the fire is if you win. That's the only way you can redeem yourself and come out positive. This anything less than that is a complete loss. And somehow we threaded that needle. It was near perfect ball in the second half. It was funny if you go back and watch, like, do a film review in the second half, especially for the offense, or actually on both sides of the ball. There's not that many plays to watch. That's how quickly we came back and how many plays and chunks we got so quickly.
Yeah, I mean, it was 3 huge fourth downs, like, to start the half, and that's what gave me confidence. It's like, oh, we're getting these now. Like, we are here to fight, scratch, claw our way back to victory right now. We're getting every single play we need. That Marcel Reed run, the stop on 4th and 1, and then the Bussy pass for the 2-yard gain on 4th down, or the 2-yard conversion for 4th down. But then just the explosive touchdowns, right? I mean, the Isaiah Williams was like a 30, 25-yard or something like that. The ABR touchdown was like a 40-yarder. The ABR catch and run was like a 75-yard run. It's like you were kind of cutting your way. You were kind of like cutting the line, saving time and gaining plays. And it was like, we are getting this done. You felt the confidence pretty quickly. It was like 5 minutes of suffering in the second half. And as soon as that 4th and 1 hit, it's like, oh, here we go. We are in this. I don't know if we win. But then after we scored there, it's like, oh, we're going to do this. It's a 2-score game. We have momentum. This is happening.
It was like, this was a classic call the ambulance, but not for me. Like, it lured BAS into a trap. And
they had us in the first half, not gonna lie.
Yeah. So absolutely astounding. I think what's gonna be, really because obviously like now we gotta look forward. How much game prep do you think they did for Texas this week?
Oh, they had to have done a lot. I don't know if the player. No, they're doing a lot. They're running Texas scout team in practice. Coaches are looking at Texas film. I hate to say it. I hate to talk about Samford this way, but it's not like you're going up against an upper echelon FCS team. This is a bottom feeder. Auburn's going up against maybe the best FCS team in the country, one of them. And it just worked out this way.
Yeah, I thought at first, like, especially if Scooby and Le'Veon were healthy, they might get live game reps. I think they might actually hold them back because that's how bad Sanford is that our practices are probably harder
Yeah.
than this game, and I think so. I think we're actually saving all our bullets. At first, like I was very adamant about like let's get those guys some game reps,
Yeah.
just to see them back out there. But based on what like Coach Elko was saying in the presser, like he said very little. He was just like they'll be back at some point. It sounds like he knows they'll be back, but he's not gonna. He's gonna hold his cards close to his chest.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you watched the Pulse, you saw Le'Veon was practicing, or at least suited out at practice last week. So you imagine he's like 2 weeks or at least into a ramp up right now, and that's a really big deal. Unless those clips are from this week, I mean, usually the Pulse is from the week before. So
Yeah.
it looks like Le'Veon's at least been ramping up these last couple of weeks and should be able to be pretty strong against Texas.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like a devastating injury. It was obviously very significant, the high ankle sprain, and I think he had to have surgery. I'm not really sure, but he should be fine. It wasn't like a season ender. It wasn't like a multi-month recovery. He might be, he won't be 100%. You're never 100% your first game back, but he might be serviceable. And obviously, we learned this with his last injury. Le'Veon is built different. Like almost no atrophy in his torn ACL leg last year when he came back. Insane stuff. So, yeah, save him. Maybe they suit out. Maybe they dress out just to walk senior day. Maybe they don't. Who knows? I don't think they play. But we shall see.
Yeah, I think it's going to be, oh my gosh, absolute cinnamon next week. And this is I'm going to be having Le'Veon in our backfield because I think that's the one thing that we may be overlooking on our offense because our offense is so good, but we're kind of missing that ground and pound because Ruben and the other boys can still move the ball very well on the ground, but then it's like it's almost like in like larger chunks or 2-yard gains if we don't get the line of scrimmage move. Whereas Moss is the line mover, and we saw Georgia, gash Texas with Nate Frazier in their run game as well as their pass game. And I think having that physicality element combined with our sweeps and our passing game and everything else is really going to throw a wrench into every defensive game plan moving forward. Because man, think how fresh Moss is going to be coming off like these last few weeks not playing.
Yeah, and if you look at that Georgia-Texas game, the run really opened up once they had they kept the Texas offense on the bench for a long time with that onside and a couple of fourth down conversions. And as that defense of Texas wore down, that's when the run game really started opening up for Georgia, and they were able to milk the game out in the fourth quarter. And that's exactly what A&M's been doing. The fourth quarter is when the running game really kind of pops because of their conditioning and their just ability to be a fourth quarter team. So that was encouraging to see. And obviously Le'Veon's a huge part of that. Le'Veon's the one that turns those 2-yard stuffs into a 4-yard, 5-yard gain. Le'Veon has good instincts. Le'Veon's explosive. He can do a lot of things and add a lot to your offense. So it'd be huge to get him back, man. I mean, I see people saying if he's healthy, give him 4 to 5 runs. I'm not totally against it. I think it's fine. But I would say they probably just err to the side of caution a little bit there. I know it's just Samford, but, if you feel like maybe, like we were talking, you said this, I said this before, I mean, he can still get practice reps, and those are against much, more lofty opposition than the Samford game will be. And plus, Le'Veon, it's not like he hasn't played in a long, long time. It was a few weeks ago. It was like a month and a half ago. So that's that. All right, Noble, what's your score prediction?
We're going to go with the old classic. We're going 52-10.
I almost did it. I saved it for you. I almost went there. That's like my classic blowout score. It's perfect, and that's how you're on the board back there.
I think we score 20 in the first half, 24 in the second half, even with the backups when we put them in. And then real quick, because I don't think anyone's mentioned this, like we re-signed Elko. I think that was a big move, and then don't know all the details, but I think it's really cool how essentially every year he makes a playoff, it's a year added on. So it's not like we have to constantly worry about signing him or re-signing him year after year. And it sounds like the biggest issue that he was after was resources, and in the sense of he wants more NIL for recruiting, and it sounds like he got that based on a few crystal balls. But then also more importantly, he's getting he's rewarding his staff, and I think right now, first of all, that's huge. His staff already loves him because a lot of them worked with him in the past. And so that's very a tight knit relationship built staff. But in moving into the future, we got to enjoy this team for what it is with this current iteration of the players and the staff. Who knows what happens? People are going to want a piece of our success, but that's going to make our OC, DC, position coaches, all that much more attractive for like the top end talent if anyone decides to go.
Yeah, I've been trying to brace the chat and my audience for this for weeks, but guys, count the days with Colin Klein. He's doing such a good job. He's a young guy on the rise. He is going to get a head coaching job, if not this year, in the very near future. There are so many availabilities now. Like, people will be getting bigger jobs than maybe normal because there's just so many openings. And once other jobs get taken, other spots are going to open up. So, guys, we just appreciate what we have now. Right now, A&M's in a place to attract the best of them, especially like with what you mentioned, the contract restructuring, how even the staffers are incentivized for playoff success. And that goes into effect this year. I don't have all the details in front of me, but I do know that Mike Elko signed a new, I think, 6-year contract. And it's not 6 years added on. It's a 6-year restructure, which I think adds 2 more years to his current deal. Obviously, a new pay rate now. He's obviously doing really well and deserves to be paid amongst the best in college football competitively. That was there. But yes, he talked about how, Penn State very publicly was trying to court Mike Elko. And
the mother knew that.
Yes, everyone knew that. And the thing that, it wasn't his money that was the thing here that he needed at A&M. It was just that additional buy-in. And of course, A&M's ready to pony up there. Because we've been saying for years, what happens when A&M finally gets a 10-win season? I mean, what are these donors going to do when they believe in the coach that leads them there? What is recruiting going to do with the attention and the added funds that boosters are willing to allocate towards this team? It just made sense for it all to come together and happen with this restructuring. And we're going to see it in recruiting. We're seeing it on the field. We're seeing it with the coaching staff. Really, really good place. And I think some people, there were a couple of national detractors to extending Elko. It's like, you can't extend guys this early. It's so risky. They just went through this with the Jimbo. Well, this is 6 years. This isn't 10 years. And right now, I mean, it seems like we're in a place early in the tenure where, it's not just the 5 stars you're bringing in. It's not just the pops. It's like you're developing. The culture is very, very apparent. And you're on a 10-0 stretch right now. And that's not something that we have achieved since 92 or whatever it was. So it's a really big deal. It's a good deal. I'm really happy with it. Thank you for bringing it up. Noble, I'm going to close the show down, but do you want to do a couple of national score predictions with me before we get out of here?
Sure, yeah. To be honest, like we know how it is with most of the SEC slate, with a handful of exceptions.
It'll be a quick segment here, very quick segment. All right, let me get my head back on the screen here.
I don't want to hear any complaints from Big Ten fans, though, when they play like 4 Pee-wees in September.
This 9-game slate, man, it's going to be brutal. It's going to be tough.
I'm telling people now, get ready for 9-3 playoff teams, 9-3 SEC playoff teams, because, Notre Dame, oh my gosh! I have one of my best friends is a Notre Dame fan, and you would think the playoff postseason is their birthright. I'm telling him there's about a dozen different ways that Notre Dame can miss the playoff with these qualifiers. I'm like, hey, if you don't like qualifiers, I think Notre Dame's a top 12 team. Sorry, I'm gonna go tangent real quick. And Notre Dame's a top 12 team, but we have these qualifiers because people don't want to see half the field taken up by SEC teams.
Yeah, that's how it would be. And I don't know, I'm not for it, but I can see an argument to, if you're going to 9 games, expanding the playoff to benefit the SEC, because you're just not going to have the pretty records like you did before. I mean, you're adding a loss guaranteed to half the conference there, right? Yeah. Half the conference is guaranteed a loss. Schedules are guaranteed to be harder, especially if you're still scheduling premier non-con opponents. I mean, these teams can be really good and be 3-loss teams, be playoff-worthy teams. Hell, they could be top 10-worthy teams with 3 losses, depending on the schedule you draw with 9 SEC, and maybe you go to Ohio State, maybe you go to Penn State, something like that added in there. It's going to be tough, but let's get to this weekend of games.
Yeah.
Missouri, OU. Obviously, we have a common opponent here, Missouri. OU, really good at stopping the run. Missouri, a really good run team. Missouri, a run team that struggled against Alabama and Auburn and maybe took their foot off the gas running the football a little bit, going up against the best run defense in the SEC. Yeah. So this seems like a really tough matchup for Missouri's offense. How are you feeling?
You know what? Credit to Mizzou to get off the mat and absolutely drub Mississippi State last week. And then credit to Oklahoma. We actually got to give Oklahoma a shout out because I don't like Oklahoma, but they did give Marcel firmly the 3rd place position in the Heisman race.
Right.
By giving, knocking Ty Simpson off a peg, who I think is a really good quarterback.
Yeah.
But anyways, I think this is going to be what's the line? I think it was 5.5. Is that right?
It's 6.5 OU now.
I'm taking Mizzou to cover.
Okay.
Because I think as much as I think he's goofy too. Drinkowitz is a really good coach.
Yeah.
I think it's an 11 a.m. sleep spot, a come down spot from playing Alabama on the road, and it's going to be a field position battle, and then
Yes.
just the turnover is going to, because that's how Oklahoma keeps getting away with it. I call it keep getting away with it because their offense is so mid. It's so mid.
It's the definition of mid.
Yeah, and their defense and Mizzou's defense is good. So
yeah,
that's where I'm going with it.
Yeah, I think this is like the question of, can Missouri's defense go out there and win them a football game? Can they get a turnover? Can they give Matt Zollers a short field to work with? Can they give Ahmad Hardy more reps to try to break one? Because OU, I mean, what are you going to do against this defense if you're Missouri? We just saw the OU defense go up against a one-dimensional offense in Alabama, and they're really freaking good in that dimension. Maybe the best passing team in the country, but they have a running game. And though Ty Simpson was able to find chunk yards throughout the day, it was turnovers, 2 fumbles, 1 pick 6 interception. That's a game changer. It's like an 80, 90-yard pick 6. That's how OU wins games. Outgained by 200 yards in the game, still won. Outgained by 100 yards versus Tennessee, still won the game. They make the big defensive plays. The special teams play now. I mean, Isaiah Satenia had like a 48-yard return in the game. They had the fumble on a punt, and they recovered it. OU did against Bama. That's how OU does it. So for Missouri, if they're going to win this, they're going to force the OU offense to drive the full stretch of the field. They're going to make sure they punt the ball and they're not giving turnovers away. They're covering well on punt. And I think if you make OU drive the full stretch of the field, this Missouri defense is equipped to shut down the OU offense. It can happen. Now, it's not a guarantee, but that is how Missouri wins this game. And then you get the ball back. You don't give OU good field position because the offense, it's mid, but it's good enough to capitalize on 40-yard drives, especially with their kicker whose range is infinite. So Missouri... You just can't turn it over. You got to be punting, and you got to hope you pop a run or two. And I don't know, what can they manufacture through the air with Matt Zollers? How much are they going to trust Matt Zollers to drop back and pass? What can they do against this OU defense that's just going to make a young quarterback's head spin with their disguised coverages, their blitz packages? I'm going to take the safe pick here, Noble. I'm going to go OU to cover, but I'm certainly keeping an eye on this one. I think I'm probably doing a watch party on Saturday, and I'll have Missouri OU up, and I'll have the A&M game up, and we'll be keeping an eye on both because I'm very intrigued here. Maybe Missouri can make our schedule look a little bit better, our record look a little bit better. But that's that one. It's an interesting game. We'll see if Mizzou can do it. To me, it's like OU is a clear favorite here, but Missouri has a chance to do it on the road. You're right. Sleepy morning spot. We'll see.
Yeah.
Kentucky, Vandy. You know, Kentucky has been a little bit better than expected this year. I'm going to stick with Vandy at home here. I think it's going to happen. I don't have too much insight here. I don't watch a lot of Kentucky football. I know they got a good D-line. I know they got Cutter Boley. I know it's a good quarterback. But I trust Vandy to just go on long, sustained drives and do their thing and, you know, play the Pavia game, get the tight ends going. I think I have Vandy here cover and winning by about 10 or so. They're an 8.5-point favorite. What about you?
No, I think so too. Quite frankly, Vandy just keeps finding a way to win, so credit to them on that. And they still, have playoff aspirations. Like, there's a chance, even at 10-2, Vandy could get left out, but they're going to give themselves the best shot by winning out.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, they definitely have aspirations. They went out. I think they should be in, but we'll see. A lot to do. They're not in the field right now. I'm going to catch up with the chat real quick. Where's the link? I'm sorry, I closed the link for the night. I'm just ending with this, but I'll get you next time. We usually go for an hour and a half, then we close it down. Daniel Granger says, okay, I've been hearing people say there's no reason for Moss to play against Sanford. If fully healthy, wouldn't you want him to get 8 to 10 carries to shake the rust off? I mean, yeah. But it's not like he's going to be that rusty. He's played this year, and I don't know how valuable reps versus Sanford are.
Yeah,
if he's 110% and he's ready to go last week, sure, give him 5 carries. But I think with the timeline being about 6 weeks, we're coming up on that margin, Texas week, I think they're probably going to play it safe and not play him and just give him practice reps. It looks like he's been getting. But, I'm probably like 85% sure he's not going to get reps, maybe 15% chance he does. Richter says during the Aggie hour, he said, looked at both of the upcoming games. Yeah, I'm sure he did. Oh, he said that? That's cool. Daniel says 12-0. I love it. He was looking forward to the Texas game, apparently. He mentioned that.
Yes.
You say 4 to 5 runs for Moss. If he can, yes. If he can, yes. Yeah, they're definitely going to walk for senior day. You're going to see a lot of guys walk who might come back next year. Like you might see Torrin York walk. He'll probably come back next year. You'll probably see Scooby walk. He could be back next year if they medical redshirt him. You'll probably see Bryce Anderson walk. He'll probably be back next year with the red shirt. You're going to see guys walk that could come back, so don't freak out when you see that, just in case they find a chance to go, because they have a lot of games left to showcase themselves for the NFL. They need to walk now just to be safe. Tenacious Explosivo says, first in the SEC in sacks versus a team that gives up more sacks than any team in football. Yikes for that quarterback. It could be really ugly, guys. That's why we're just talking about it the way we are. Like, I can't hold back. Stat pad. Yeah, let's get Howell to 13 and call it a day. I read UT's pass defense is ranked in the 90s, so we can definitely explode some there. Yeah, I've been watching some tape on them, and just some really weird stuff from their secondary.
Taff was missing for about half those games, though, so keep that in mind.
Who was?
Michael Taff.
No, I mean, I'm watching versus Georgia where he played.
Yeah, but that was his first game back against Georgia.
Well, it's not just him. There's these strange leverages and these strange gaps where like they're in man coverage and the nickel is backed way off the slot receiver and they're like zero blitzing and there's just space in the middle of the field. There's guys that are just out leveraged, like they're playing inside leverage and the receiver has no one on the outside and they make a touchdown to Noah Thomas. Just really weird stuff we're seeing from that secondary right now. Of course, they're going to be tough to run on. They're really good in the front seven, really good pass rush, but that secondary seems like it can be got right now. Even with Taft, though, I think even with Taft, I think we have some guys that can just win the athleticism game against him.
True.
Let me get through the rest of these. I got to talk to Elko at the Elko Hour, and I asked him if we're going to flip Braylon Womack, and he smiled and said, "We'll see." So I've got hope for that. You know, he's currently crystal balled. He's currently crystal balled to A&M, and that's a Fong bomb. So. Feels like, and I don't know if that's a big coincidence. That's one of the crystal balls I was talking about, Noble. Like after they, we kind of hinted that maybe some of the NIL stuff got expanded as part of the new contract. Braylon Womack immediately, like the next day that thing gets announced, crystal ball to A&M. I don't know if that's a factor there. I don't know if just A&M's success and Auburn's lack of success is a factor there. It could be everything. It's huge.
Yeah.
Let me keep reading these. John Peroni says 59-3 Ags. That's a good score prediction. Mizzou 27, OU 24. Oh, you got Mizzou winning, Richter. I like it. I liked it. Anyone else want to see Zeno take snaps? I'd like to see it just to get him out there, but I think he's just brought in to be a veteran, an older guy in the room. That'd be cool though. I'd like to see Marcel get no more than 2 quarters. Says it's Putman. Miles the next 2 quarters, then Zeno maybe the 4th. Yeah, that sounds great to me.
If he's going to play 2 quarters, I want the Heisman stats to be off the chart in those 2 quarters.
Yes, get some explosives, man. Make the most of your time. Let's pad Marcel. Pad Craver. Give Craver some love because he missed half the game last game, and I think we've been itching for a Craver game. He was good against Missouri.
I want a 1,000-yard receiver so bad.
Well, with postseason, we're definitely going to get it.
Yeah, knocked on wood.
Yeah, knocked on wood. But yeah, you're right. I would love to see that. Definitely rooting for Missouri. They just have to find some kind of passing game. Yeah, can they manufacture anything? Play action, deep shots? Can they get a screen game going? How do they make this life easier on the quarterback against an impossible task of a defense for him? Going to be tough, but that's the thing. York is only a junior. Yeah, but juniors walk if there's a chance they can go pro. Yes, Jimbo's son plays for Sanford. He's a backup kicker there. Yeah, Lil Fish is returning. UT's other corner isn't very good, and Taff I just feel like isn't super athletic. Yeah, I would agree with that. All right, let's. I think we finished with a couple here. Arkansas at Texas this Saturday afternoon, 2:30 in DKR. Texas coming off of the late game kind of blowout late. It wasn't a blowout throughout the whole game, but that fourth quarter. Georgia ran away with it. They kind of, out-coached Texas in a lot of ways. The onside, being courageous, going for it on 4th down, back-to-back, just kind of taking that thing and running with it late. And Texas is faced with this game versus Arkansas. I don't know how much of this rivalry exists for Arkansas with the current iteration of players and coaching staff, but I know for the region, Arkansas hates Texas, and I don't think Texas feels the same way. But Texas certainly feels the same way about the game they play next week. This is the prime trap game spot. Coming off of that road game emotional dump, big rivalry, top 3 opponent, coming to your house the next week, and you just got lowly 2-8 Arkansas coming to DKR, haven't done too much on the year, but they got a hell of an offense, man. Taylor Green, a beast. Mike Washington, a beast. That offensive line, underrated. The receivers, pretty good, but Taylor Green makes them better by extending plays. This is a scary spot for this Texas defense for the last 3 games, is giving up so much in the air. Very scary spot. But the Texas offense has been playing pretty well. Like it hasn't been Arch Manning, suffering like he was early in the year. They had some critical drops versus Georgia, and that killed their offense. They couldn't establish a run. As long as they're not just dropping balls against Arkansas, they should be able to put up 35 plus points in this game.
Easily,
and that should
yeah.
lead them to a win. But at -8.5, I would stay away from this game. It opened at Arkansas -10. I would have hammered Arkansas -10, but I think Texas wins around that 9-10 point margin. So I'm going to still, I'm going to take Texas in the 8.5 if I have to pick here. But I expect this game to be a little bit uncomfortable. I'll be impressed if Texas just makes this a rout early on.
Yeah, I don't. I agree. The fact they got bet down to Arkansas, I'll take Texas to cover at 8.5.
That 10 was a juicy number.
I mean, the thing is they're never gonna bury Arkansas because their offense is too good. Yeah, they're gonna score almost will against them, but geez, like if Arkansas can just, and this is saying a lot because they haven't done it all year, but if they can wrap up a tackle, because I'll be honest, like a lot of Arch Manning's throws have been like under 10, 15 yards easily.
They're relying on catch and run. They're relying on players in open field breaking tackles, and we saw Vandy couldn't tackle, but Georgia could tackle, and that was a big difference in the game. There were a couple of plays where Wingo could have popped in that game, and he had some receptions coming out of the half. He had one early, but Georgia was able to shoestring him or get him down very desperately and close, because if he breaks a tackle, he's gone. Can Arkansas do that a couple of times, and can Texas avoid the big drops? It's a good point.
I'm just hoping Arkansas can run like 60, 80 offensive plays and then wear out the defense for us.
Yeah, right. Yeah, make it a game. Make them have to think about it. Make them press for A&M, and hopefully A&M can get some rest. But I think we're both going to take Texas here reluctantly. This thing is right on that margin where I'm just going to take Texas if I have to. But again, if you found it at -10, I think that's a good bet for Arkansas. I think it's going to be a little bit of an uncomfortable game, but we shall see. Honestly, I'm looking forward to a showdown in DKR. It's always funny to watch the rivalry lose. And again, I say that, but a rivalry game, no matter what's happened before, you throw it out, it's a new game. But let's finish with this one. Tennessee at Florida in the Swamp. Tennessee has not won in the Swamp in 20-plus years. No matter what has happened, obviously Florida's had a better stretch of seasons in that time compared to now.
That's
but
wild.
This feels like it's Tennessee's time to get it done. But this Tennessee defense is not very good, man. They have one good attribute, and that's pass rush. But outside of that, like tackling's been bad. They can't stop the run. Florida, if they can just get out of their own way enough in this game, they can make it a game. But I think the early part of this game is crucial because we saw Florida look like they kind of quit versus Kentucky. But versus Ole Miss, they get a turnover and they have life in the first half, and then obviously they crumble in the second half. But which Florida shows up? And can Tennessee just play clean early? I think that's what's going to decide it. Tennessee's a -4.5 favorite. That was -3. I think I reluctantly take Tennessee there. How do you feel?
God, this is so tough because that fact of like Tennessee hasn't won in the Swamp in forever, and then Florida, all they do is play teams close.
I know,
push to the edge. But I'll take Tennessee to finally win it as well. The fact that I think it because they play Vandy next week too, so I don't think it's necessarily a look ahead spot, but like I don't think Tennessee wants to go on a 2-game losing streak. And if they lose this one at Florida, that's going to be a tough task against Vandy.
Yeah, I wonder how much of that like juju factor is on the table for Tennessee. Like how much they think like about this game as overcoming like some historical deficiencies winning at this place, and if that can sharpen them up a little bit. But here's the thing. We just saw Tennessee lose at home to OU in their last conference game because they threw some critical interceptions and the scoop and score. Like, that lost them the game, and Aguilar can put the ball in the other team's hands. That happens. And in all the games Florida's been in, the Texas game, the Georgia game that was a one-score game, the game versus Ole Miss, when they were in these games, they were getting game-changing turnovers, and they were usually early in the game to make it a game. So that's what Tennessee has to avoid. Tennessee comes out, plays clean early. I'm taking Tennessee. I think we're both going to agree here, but it's scary, man. I'm not surprised if Florida wins this one at all.
What's the line? Because I'll probably take Florida to cover.
It's 4.5 Tennessee right now.
Yeah, I'll take Florida to cover. I may flip on that because I do think Tennessee is ultimately an 8-4 team, so I'm kind of deciding how it lays out.
Yeah, I know. Hey, it'd be good for us. Florida, Missouri win tomorrow. On Saturday. All right, Noble. Thanks for hanging out with me and going through some of these games. It's good to bounce stuff off of. You have a good night, man. Thanks for being here.
Absolutely. Gig 'em, everybody.
Gig 'em later, Noble. All right, I'm going to go through the chat one last time. Guys, thank you so much for being here. It was a fun show, even though we have Samford this weekend, but things are ramping up in a big way. This is kind of the calm before the storm, because after this week, guys, think about what's on the table. the Texas game. And no, you don't have to win it to win a championship, but you have to win the game. SEC championships on the line. Bragging rights are on the line. Revenge is on the line for last year and what they did at home. It's huge. This is the last kind of breath before things get crazy, because you win that game, you're in the SEC championship, and the playoffs are just a couple of weeks later. Everything is right ahead of us. We're at the doorstep right now. We have earned the right to be here, guys. Get ready. Buckle in. Enjoy the deep breaths you'll be able to take this weekend, guys, because it's going to change in a big, big way. I'll go through the chat one last time. Throw in your last comments in the chat. I'll read y'all off right now before we get out of here, guys. Thank you so much for being here. Drop a like. Please drop a sub. It helps so much. And obviously, we got to rep RHOBACK, man. I've been repping the RHOBACK hoodie. It's getting a little bit cooler. Not consistently. I'm still waiting for it to stay cold. It might be a while in Texas. But Christmas idea. You want to buy Christmas presents for the family. You got Aggie family. Use the Drewtamu discount code for 20% off. Get presents for everybody. Great product. Great activewear. Aggie branded. Y'all check them out. The link's in the description. Thank you, RHOBACK, for supporting the channel. Jeremy Oliver says, Pad, Stat, Isaiah, Williams. He could have a big game. TK Norman could have a big game too. Saw him off arc. We'll see. Go Hogs, says John Peroni. No shame. We're going right for it. Let's go Hogs. Something about mashed potatoes. Would you rather, if you don't know what I'm talking about, probably sound insane. Just Google or YouTube, Go Hogs mashed potatoes. Or don't. Would you rather face a 2-loss streak TU or a fresh win TU? Who would I rather face? I think a fresh win TU, I guess, just to have like the ultimate like kind of stamp on the end of the season with a top 15 ranked team. But I always say, like I said a second ago, you throw out everything in a rivalry. That game will be what it is. It'll take on a personality of its own. If A&M would have lost to South Carolina and played like shit versus Stanford tomorrow somehow, that game would have been totally different. If Texas loses the last game and this one going into it, those aren't going to matter to this game. This level of rivalry exists in a vacuum, so you just got to be ready to play that given game. But I guess a loss. I guess a win. I guess a win to just amplify the matchup to make it more fun. Texas game is going to mean a lot. Trip to the SEC championship and a chance to spoil any of their playoff hopes. 100%, man. Huge bragging right games. Temple of Brutus, good to see you. He says, Gig'em, I trucked the like button. Thank you so much, Temple of Brutus, for your support. Good to see you today. Texas should handle Arkansas, but it would be funny to see them look past them and lose. It would be funny. Actually, Arky's defense is playing a little better. Their offense is regressing a bit. They just can't finish games. Are we using them holding LSU to 20-something as a data point here? Because LSU is statistically the worst offense in the SEC. Maybe. We'll see. We'll judge them. We'll be watching here, I think, if I can do a watch party. I'm either going to the game or not, obviously, and if I don't go, I'll be here live through that Texas game, so we might be here watching together. Texas wins a third game in overtime by a touchdown. All right. That'd be fun to watch. Texas and Vandy in competition to stay out of the Trans-Perfect Bowl and get into the ReliaQuest or TaxSlayer. Amen. Tennessee DOP safety hit the portal already. He has interest in us. Top safety. Yeah. Tennessee will end that win streak against the Gators. Yeah, I think so. But I'm not surprised again if Gators win this one. This is Florida's first game home since Texas and Mississippi State, like almost a month ago. They were at Ole Miss. They were at Kentucky. And the cocktail party was neutral. They haven't been home in a long time. Aggies, come get this trophy. We'll leave it on the table for whoever wins. We'll come get it. We'd love to play you, Temple of Bruce. We'd love to play you. Bailioso, good to see you. Salute back at you. Gig 'em, Bailioso. Thanks for being here. Later, Richter. Thanks for your support, man. Rutgers over Ohio State. Nah, I'm not going there. I normally want Texas to lose every game, but I wouldn't mind padding our resume. Absolutely. Let's pad the resume this weekend. That's what it's about, right? Get Missouri win, get the Florida win, get the Texas win, and then beat Texas. Time to flip the script and give the world what they want most. Texas 8-4. The real Texas 8-4 might emerge. All right, guys. All right. That's a show. Thank you guys for being here. We'll talk Saturday. Beat the hell out of Stanford. Gig 'em. Stay healthy.